te takita tinta tagin 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 day. Dha takadin te te ta dha takadin te te ta dhagin. Thari kita takita din ta takdari kita kuputa din ta takita din te te ta dhagre te ta takita din ta karata kade dha dha na dhan te kadra te. Hello and welcome to our first audience empowerment workshop since the pandemic. The last time we had people at the Institute for one of these was 2019. So I'm excited to welcome everyone back here. We are going to begin, as we always do every session, with a pranam, a salutation to this land. And we have worked with our indigenous elders to create particular offerings. So we are offering these as we say this, and we invite you to say them along with us. First is to hold up Mini Shota Makoche. Shota Makoche. Then, which is the indigenous land in Dakota for this state, Minnesota, otherwise known as Minnesota. Then we go to the salutation of the land where we say Zagi, 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 which means love in the Ojibwe language. Zagi, Zagi, Zagi. And then we say Zagi Dwin, which is mutual love. Zagi Dwin. And then when we finish, this is a learning from our Dakota elder, we say Mitakuye Owasin, which means we are all related. Mitakuye Owasin. So we'll do our pranam to begin our evening and invite you to join in for as much of it as you feel, want as much of it as you want to. Six steps to go around. Connecting to the sky, to the earth, to our hearts. Holding up this land.
Mini Shota Makoche. Zagi, Zagi, Zagi. Zagi Dwin. Mitakuye Owasin.
So today's session is about sharing bits of the work we've been creating for the last year. Nun Gherāo, surrounded with salt. The piece remembers a massacre that happened in 1979. It's a massacre of Dalit refugees. It was a complex situation between the India and Bangladesh border, and specifically Bengal, the state I'm from, which borders with Bangladesh. There was a particular situation around that. And a huge number of refugees came and were massacred by the government. There is a really great book called Blood Island that has recently come out, which talks about the entire history. This history was suppressed and has recently been coming out. The piece remembers that particular Marichjhapi. They said these refugees actually settled in an island called Marichjhapi in the Sundarbans, in the tip of the West Bengal state, which is in the Bay of Bengal. They settled in the Marichjhapi Island and were massacred. And this Marichjhapi incident has been a great painful mark in our history, because it was the government at that time was actually a left government and apparently far off and by the people, but really painful history. This piece remembers that massacre and other stories of displacement, loss, waiting, promising to hold those we have lost close to our hearts. So this is that piece. We have been so fortunate as to be in our third year of collaborating with our sound artist, sound composer, and performer, Spirit McIntyre. And they are here today. And also our artist who lives in DC, Alexis Araminta Renee, is joining us via live stream, but they will be here very shortly in the Twin Cities. And I'd love to begin by introducing the artists first, and then share, and then we'll go on to show you a little bit of the work. So I'm Ananya, she, hers.
Kea, Kealoha, she, her, hers.
I'm Lychee, she, her, hers.
Hi, I'm Parisha, she, her.
My name's Alexandra, she, her.
Hi, I'm Noelle, she, her.
Hi, Lizette, she, her.
And you will have an opportunity to hear from Spirit and Alexis shortly. We will begin by sharing the beginning part of the work. You might be asked to perform.
Living on an island is kinship. দ্বীপের জীবন এক ঘর এক প্রতিবেশ। Living on an island is দ্বীপের জীবন এক ঘর এক প্রতিবেশ। Kinship. দ্বীপের জীবন এক ঘর এক প্রতিবেশ। Kinship. অকুল পাথার মাঝে দিগন্ত বেষ্টিত এই মুঠো ভরা মাটি। অকুল পাথার মাঝে দিগন্ত বেষ্টিত এই মুঠো ভরা মাটি। অকুল পাথার মাঝে দিগন্ত বেষ্টিত এই মুঠো ভরা মাটি।
Mississippi River takes all my blues away. The Mississippi River takes all my blues away. The Mississippi River takes all my blues away. It takes all my blues away. River mother steady rocking back and forth. River mother steady rocking back and forth. River mother steady rocking baby. River mother steady rocking back and forth. River mother steady rocking back and forth. River mother steady rocking baby.
gazing beyond the horizons that have wrapped you on all sides eternally. Heads gazing beyond the horizons that have wrapped you on all sides অনন্তকাল eternally. অনন্তকাল অনন্তকাল heads gazing beyond the horizons that have wrapped you on all sides eternally. অনন্তকাল অনন্তকাল eternally. অনন্তকাল 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 অনন্তকাল
We do roll out the TV.
We marked it.
Thank you. Hey. Dear Spirit and Alexis, would you please turn on your cameras now? Yay! So let me take a minute to introduce our fabulous composer, and will be in live performance, Spirit McIntyre, they, them, from New Orleans. Yay! And this is Alexis Oloka Araminta Renee, who is part of the company and has been joining us now for the last 2 shows. Hi, Alexis. So we want to invite you to share with us what came up for you in that section, what the sounds evoke, what the words evoke. The words are written by writer. She describes herself as a speculative fiction writer, Mimi Mondol, whose family actually is also from the Sundarbans area where this work is, the Marichjhapi incident happens. So there's all of that. Spirit has organized that in this beautiful track. So maybe, what do you hear? What world comes up for you? Hi, Elizabeth. Yeah, any thoughts from you? We have to, Noel here will share a mic so that people on live stream can hear. And once you've shared some of that, maybe we can invite Spirit to reflect on the process a little bit. Thank you, Divya.
It's on?
Okay, maybe I'll do.
Oh.
Okay. So there were many things that were evoked in my mind from the sounds and certainly from the movements. I'll just stick to one question that I have, which is fairly in the beginning of the performance. In the soundtrack, there was this sound really sort of sinister. It evoked in me the world of monsters of the water, right? So my question is that what it is intended?
Spirit, did you hear that question? No. I'll repeat it for you. Divya is...
I did. No, it's not about monsters in the water.
Spirit, can you share a little bit more about what your inspirations are in that section?
I can, but it was not about monsters in the water. So that's curious that you heard that. Maybe you can give me more yeah.
From Divya, who asked the question, or
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe a little bit more.
So I can't exactly reproduce the sound. It's a throat, and it has that reverberating reverberation to it, and it made me think of like crocodiles in the water, right? It evoked in me this image of refugees trying to cross and get to this island, and they are confronted with many hurdles and creatures of the water being one of them. So just...
Thank you, Divya. Spirit, would you like to share
Yeah,
a little bit more?
That's beautiful that you got that from that. It's more lovely to hear what you all think. Yeah, so thank you. I'm glad that evoked that for you.
Kea has some responses from the live stream, right?
Okay, so from the live stream, we have a comment from Renee Copeland. Hi, Rennie. So many incredible elemental and tonal shifts in this first excerpt. Strong individual presences and development of metaphor. Curious how it is for the dancers that shift into dramatic roles that involve the prop elements. How has the process been working with tangible imagery, symbolisms? Let's start with that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you start with that? Will you respond? Thank you, since you work with that.
Oh boy, Renee. Yeah, I think one thing that's been in development for me has been the symbolism of the pot or the vessel, and especially I think relating to the beginning of the piece where we're waiting and our hands are what feels like it could be different for everyone, but for me it feels like sifting through land that isn't there, or grasping for someone's hand that isn't there. And so the strong juxtaposition of having nothing and then suddenly having this very tangible, full vessel and pot. Oh, okay. And then what it means to have it, because I think I take it from Alexis, who isn't here, but I took it from the ground today, and then I give it off to Noelle, thinking that there's no way that I can complete this in my lifetime. And then sent off, and Lizette, cracks the whip of time and says, no, you have to return. And so another thematic that's been coming up a lot in the work is refusal. And I've been thinking a lot because Anani Dance Theater, and in my years of dancing with this company, we do so much with resistance. And I'm just finding what, in this world and in this work, the difference between just resisting and actually refusing. Refusing to forget, refusing to erase. And for me, it's not fully there why the subtleties of what those differences are, but that's what I'm kind of growing in, and that's what that vessel is kind of teaching me right now. Okay.
Would any of the other artists like to answer? Renee has also another follow-up question. How does your embodiment shift or enhance with these objects or beings? Lychee, do you want to say something? Because you work with the salt directly.
Yeah, it's been a journey. One of the processes that we do when we start a show, and Ananya's processes, is we get to bring our own research, and we get to bring maybe stories where we can find the relationality with refugee, or with salt, with ritual, with erasure. And so this salt substance for me has started as this very this resource that is essential to the human body, but also can be used as a tool of violence and oppression. And so every grain of salt, I try to embody maybe the person. Oh, yes, we have roles. We have archetypes in the show, and my archetype is the conjurer of memories. And so when I work with the salt, and at first we started with real like iodized salt, and it was easier to like really work with every granular of it, and that every grain is an individual or a memory, and that every grain is important and needs to be released. Its memory needs to be released into the world, and seen and heard. And now, and I think that process was important because we're working with a different material now that is not as literal, but then that metaphor is able to go through as well as the stage production. What am I saying? Yes, that, and then that transformation into the ropes as also, and then we have this whole act 2. The ropes become this like for me, snake skin of shedding into a new world. But then in Act 2, which you will all see when you come to our show on the 30th of September and the 1st, the snake skin kind of comes back, and it also comes back as salt. And so we've been watching a lot of movies and like been hearing a lot about multiverses and Marvel and like the everything all at once, all of those movies, and I'm starting to understand that being of a diaspora is living the multiverse. And so leaning into that, I think, is kind of figuring out how to embody these different shifts in the work.
Yeah. Thank you, Laichi. Would anyone else like to share something? Okay, please. Do we have anything else that came up for you? Yes, please, Kari. Thank you. Yay, Kari.
So what my overall takeaway of
This is not working, I think. Is that mic on? It's up now. Okay.
Testing. Okay.
Thank you.
My overall takeaway from what was happening was the act of engaging with stories. And that was connected to the soundscape for me as well. And the movement was not necessarily the tragic event itself that you described, but the aftermath of stories that are left unattended, waiting to be held and seen and embodied in all its forms. And as I first was taken in with Laichi's role with the salt, and it did feel like a collecting of stories. So the conjurer archetype did seem to work, that matched kind of what I was taking in. And then it seemed like Kea's role was kind of embodying the emotional and spiritual challenge, sometimes burden perhaps, of really carrying all of that. And then when it got to the section with Kea and Laichi over here, it felt kind of like an expression that you don't have to carry all of these stories and all of this weight alone. I will support you even if I am stretched to my limit as well. That was kind of the symbolism I saw kind of in that relationship. And I did kind of feel like people were carrying different roles or archetypes, so that definitely makes sense to me. But yeah, it was more about the stories and engaging with them in different ways.
Thank you, Elizabeth, please. Thank you, Kari. Yeah.
I think that, especially a lot of us who came from the slave trade, the ropes have always been used to restrain us, and yet the ropes are going nowhere in this. Like, they're not tied to a tangible thing, and it's kind of like reimagining what an object has stood for our cultures. The idea of missing a place you've never been. Like, I've been to one of my homelands, but the other one I haven't been able to go to for a lot of reasons, but that whole like feeling like you miss a place that no longer exists because the communities that we were snatched from do not exist in the modern world anymore, and so we're trying to grasp for stories and music and food and ideas and dance, but we're not allowed to reimagine that. Like, that's why I love speculative fiction and sci-fi, because we can reimagine our futures, completely abolishing white supremacy and the ropes that we've been put in against our will, and reimagining what that actually means. Like, I don't know. That's what I got from it, because I have been choreographing a piece about lynching, and ropes have literally annihilated my ancestors for the entertainment of people, and yet we are supposed to, I don't know, move on somehow, but I'd rather think about a future in which these things are used differently, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's what I think about with the objects of like water and salt and all of these minerals and resources that have been stolen and keep getting stolen from us or tainted, and getting away from that is kind of what I've been, that's what I came in late, so maybe I completely missed the mark on that. But
No, you're so on.
but like for me, resources are something I also think about a lot too, because of the water, attacks on water, attacks on our water, particularly brown and black folks' water. And salt being from, is not a the Western world has used that. Like, I mean, they use ropes, they've used all these objects against us, and this is about a reimagining of how we can take that back. And the soundtrack to that, there was a lot of meditation, like it almost sounded like a singing bowl or like a gong. Like it was kind of like we have to take ourselves out of that traumatic space and like somatically process.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Any other responses? Yeah.
We have a couple on the live stream.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So, from Judith Howard.
Hi, Judith.
Elizabeth says, hi, Judith. I don't know if...
No, Judith is someone, mentor,
Yes.
curator for the Walker.
You've been named as a mentor and a curator. And a really cool person, Judith. Thank you. So Judith says, in the beginning, I felt strong place. The spacing of dancers and their focus put me somewhere. And I felt a place, I thought, island, which was, which I think really nicely ties into then a comment from Nalesi and then a comment from Christine King. Oh, and then more from Judith Howard. Oh, there's a whole thing going on in the chat. Thank you, chatter. People talking with each other as well. That's awesome. So from Nalesi Rodriguez, the dancers rolling around her, around Noelle, in a circle gave me a sense of circularity, of history repeating itself, but also a sense of collectivity. And I'm wondering, Ananya, if you can speak a little bit about Gherāo.
So it's interesting, the word Gherāo is actually a Bengali word which means to encircle, but it is actually a political strategy. So we grew up with Gherāo on the regular when someone, when some person in authority did not necessarily agree with you and they wouldn't give you answers, you surround them and you don't let them leave till they've offered an answer. To Gherāo is to surround and demand answers. So when the salt surrounds us, what answers do we give? So circularity is very much a part of this work. Can I just say that Judith's comment about place is also related to Divya's first observation about what she's hearing. The tiger, these forests, the Sundarban area where this work initially begins is mangrove forests, and a lot of tigers live there. So they're part of this world. This world is not just humans, it's tigers, it's snakes, it's crocodiles, all of these creatures that Spirit has called up for us. So go ahead, Kea.
Okay, thank you. And so from Judith and both Christine, they had these comments. The sound became part of my body and a kind of scream and tearing, drive, channeling, changing. The piece, an evocation. Thank you, thank you. And then from Christine King, For me, there was an awakening from Judith, form, and turbulence. And then there's a question from Christine King. Amazing all means so much from you, truly. For spirit, fabulous sound score and vocals. What, if any, was the roar, lion sound that I think I heard symbolized?
Yeah. There.
I'm trying to think about how to answer this, because sometimes the ways that questions are asked don't quite
Would it be helpful to read it one more time?
No, it's actually like sound is, I think that there are ways that sometimes sound is received so literally that when a literal question is asked about the sound, it's like, no, that's not how I envision it. So there are tigers in this movement and a few of the other movements, and the tigers are they're not symbolic for me. Like it wasn't like, ooh, I'm gonna put the tigers in because it's symbolic. It was more, it's part of the story of the people living with tigers. Living with Bengal tigers. So it wasn't it's not symbolic. It's like it was actual. And so I'll just say this: I'm really glad that folks are that the music is doing its work, and the sound is doing its work and taking folks on the journey. And I encourage folks to, when hearing the sounds, just as they're seeing the movements, allow the sounds to both be literal sound and also not at all literal, like the both and, so that you can really just be in the world, right? Because there's a way that I don't know, it's like being in your kitchen and there are things in your kitchen that are creating the sound. I don't know, I just encourage you to hear it and feel it and lean in and give yourselves opportunity to be like, oh, am I scared? Was that scary? No, it's not scary. Oh, it's complex. Oh, I'm like, all of that so that it can keep moving you, because there are sometimes that sounds that might be very familiar to you and sounds that might be not very familiar to you. You know, just, I don't know, right, there's just the non-literal nature of creating a world of sound that sometimes is also filled with literal things, you know?
Yeah, thank you, Spirit. That's beautiful. It just, for me, what the sound does for all of us is remind us that in this world, there are many inhabitants. It's kind of its own epistemology. We come to know this world through who are the different kinds of people, not people, different kind of life forms that are on this, in this place, you know? Okay, we're gonna show you another section. This is from the third section of the work. And you know, this was not the full section, but we'll show you a little bit of that third section now.
chancha gijatha ajigija gijatham te tirkitinta thina chinata kat 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 tilanga kat kat hulda hul tikta drim drim tham satunata tikta drim drim tham satunata trinanta teita chutta chumuta jam tikta drim drim tham sajumta hulda hul tikta drim drim tham sajumta hulda hul je da tim hul bolda bolda jam tata te ta agrejina tam 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 kulo peratta kulo peratta kulo peratta ur ur tha dim sarpadolata sarpadolata taur kitachul kulo uthatin kulo uthatin kulo uthatin kat kat ta ta jinak uranta dikta dikta dhage 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 the dam digi digi dam the ditta thalim ta dhakre 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 dhadin didin ta dhakre dhadin didin ta dhakre dhadin didin ta cha cha tun ta triktakadin cha ta tun ta triktakadin cha ta tun ta tikta drim drim tham satunata tikta drim drim tham satunata dinang ta teita chumta chumuta jam tikta drim drim tham sajumta hulda hul tikta drim drim tham sajumta hulda hul chancha gijatha urja daheda chancha gijatha urja daheda urja din trikta din tikita din trikta din chancha din tina.
It was not mine to die. But ravaged by history, my breath escapes. In this violent besieging, I find myself tangled in endless shadows of dispossession. Rivers of salt cleave my heart. Tug at my lifeline of memories. Searching through murky fadings. At last, I see your face. I promise to return, to hold you dear. I will return. I will return. I will return for you.
I'm here, waiting on here, waiting, 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 waiting. I'm waiting, I'm here. I'm waiting. I'm here waiting. I'm waiting. Waiting.
Hey dam diggy diggy dam, hey ritta talenta, hey dam diggy diggy dam, hey ritta talenta, trickadinta, hey ta, hey tan, hey ban, oran, shabadhan, hey ta denang, utata, hey tan, dinurang, chow ta, hul da, tagenta, ban, hey ta, tagenta, tring, jump, ta. Takita thin, takiti, dekiti, dinkiti, urkiti, chan, tam, chul, jin, ta, kitta, dey, tam, hulda, hul, tham, kat, dey, tham, nakat, dey, tham, nakat, dey, takita, nakatinta, din, ta, tha, jagija, din, ta, urtata, than. Trick, tang, dhain, ta, tin, ta, nim, ta, ut, ta, kat, dhain, ta, tin, ta, nim, ta, ut, ta, kat, dhain, ta, din, ta, dhain, ta, kat, dhain, ta, din, ta, kat, ut, ta, kat, dhain, ta, din, ta, ke, dhain, ta, dhain, urhan, ta, din, ta, dhei, ta, hul, ta, da, de, hul, ta, hul, da, de, hul, takita, jini, takita, jini, takita, jini, ta, digita, tam, hey, tam, digita, tam, hey, ditta, talenta, tagin, hey, takita, jini, takita, jini, takita, jini, hey, ditta, ta, dinta, ta, bur, tam, di, tam, takitam, ta, ur, taginta, dekiti, hey, jaja, tam, ta, ur, takiti, hey, ta, ur, taginta, dekiti, hey, jaja, tam, tagita, Dhaki, ur, dham, ta, din, tha, age, ta, din, hey, da, din, hey, ta, ke, hey, ta, hey. Urhan, ta, takita, dey, takita, dey, takita, takita, dey, takita, dini, ta, din. Ra, jump, ta, ra, jump, ta, ra, jump, ta, ra, ring, nam, rock, da, hul, ta, nam, jump, ta, lam, ta, rock, da, hul, ha, nam, jump, ta, dhagi urdha ud ud tinta 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 jamta dhage re tinta tinta dha ake dha ake dha ake dha ake dhage re dhagre dhage dhage urdha ud ud tinta 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 jamta dhage re tinta tinta
Thank you. Hi, Spirit. Okay. Any thoughts now? Sheila, want to dance this? I said, do you want to dance this? Try learning some of the choreography. You love dance. Any thoughts? Yes, please.
I always have a lot to say.
It's good, Elizabeth. We love it.
It's so much. It makes so much sense now, contextualizing the soundscape, and that the animals are purely a part of the environment the ecosystem that you're creating, and not like everything has to have some crazy meaning. Or I just thought the rhythm was subject in this one. Like that's all I could think about was the droning and the rhythm and the bodies that are collectively moving together. It's like an organism that is kind of operating both out of scarcity and out of abundance at the same time, like the breathlessness of everyone, but then all of a sudden there's a huge wave of like power and strength, almost like a warrior stance. I don't know. I just thought the drills that warriors did, and that the soundscape kind of made sense. Like, but also I wanted to add, I really appreciate taking the focus off of the Anthropocene, because humans really don't think about anything beyond how it is in proximity to humanity. And that's something that I appreciate the intention behind that, because we are a part of this world, but we are not clearly the world, because look at what we're doing to it. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I will say though that, you know, when we choreographically though, we do think not that everything has a meaning, but it does have intention. Like it's very clear when we move past each other, how our hands are very clearly brushing close by. We're so many of us in this close proximity, and spacing takes forever because we're moving so fast. And yeah, in circles around each other. It's incredibly difficult. But, so I want to highlight intention as being, and the value of ensemble choreography to me. Like it says so much. Ensemble choreography is such a life mode. I love it. I love ensemble work. Okay, are there thoughts from the live stream?
Not yet.
Okay. Anyone else? Thoughts from what you saw? Feelings? Yes, please, Dana.
Is it working? Oh, there. I just want to say that I almost wish this could be a piece where the audience could also be on stage, surrounding them, because it's being this close to you all. It just really affects you, and you can see the emotion, of course, but then also just the how difficult it is, and the skill, and I mean, you can see it as part of in the audience as well, but just to be up close is such a gift. So,
thank you. Yeah, we hope for those stages where there are those round, those round stages. We hope that one day they will be here. And it is true that the vibration of the footwork is, that vibration is, again, its own methodology of connection. Yeah, Kari, please.
Paid attention to, I'm always drawn towards the expression of emotion in movement, and I was observing how the emotions seem to be channeled through rhythm in this section, and sometimes through the actual physical force of the feet hitting the floor, like the intention of your themes and of your emotion and your passion channeling through your bodies and your feet in a very intentional and practiced way, that it kind of put me in a different space of listening with different senses of what you were communicating, but I felt it was still very much in the same vein of attention as the first section, but channeled differently. So it made me shift my attention.
Spoken as a musician, thank you. Beautiful, yes. Kea.
From our Renee, stunning rhythms. Although the live stream doesn't pick up the dancers' sounds, I heard your footwork and breath, your hyper-awareness and gorgeous, syncopated focus, shifts, mudra, accents, palpable. Thanks, Renee.
I want to ask our dear Alexis if she has any thoughts, because she's experiencing this in real time in her body as well. Alo?
Yes, mother.
She's my daughter. She is my daughter. Yes, any thoughts, my dear, from you?
I was taking notes because people were dropping gems. Like she's comment about being a part of diaspora, meaning that you're like existing in this multiverse, is sitting with me and something I think I'll take away. So when I was last with you all in Minnesota working, I think the piece has developed a lot since then. And so for me, this is an opportunity to hear everyone's thoughts, what people are seeing, what people are feeling, because my insertion back into the work will have to come in at a different point emotionally than what it was when I left. And not having that development in the same way emotionally. I've been thinking a lot about our conversations at Jacob's Pillow about salt water specifically and relationships to water. Especially right now in Baltimore, we are having a water crisis where our water is contaminated. And when the side of CYM, we're not allowed to use water for the past week or so without boiling it or preparing it. And it's giving a lot of, environmental racism, a lot of things that we are connected. Someone mentioned about the ropes or how we have to reimagine our spaces. So just a lot of these things are coming up that were different from the last time I performed the work. And so emerging into the work a second time in preparation for the show in another week will be what I carry with me. How the experiences of these elements, the experience of tiger or water or salt, keep shifting and changing. I think that's also what Lychee was trying to convey, in that our relationship to these elements as people of color is always shifting.
Yes. Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. And any other thoughts from our in-person audience members?
The eyes. I think when you take away the rest of the face, the eyes, because we live in COVID, eyes have become how we see emotion. Like before, yes, smiling with your eyes, things like that, those were all things you only had to care about if you were a performer. But now we're all having to perform in this well, we're not in a post-COVID world. We're still in a COVID world, but having to rethink how we view expression. Like I think of my cultures, like kabuki and like Butoh. I thought of Butoh because of but I wish I could have seen the rest of the face because it's all about the excruciatingness of like, but this obviously isn't Butoh because it was super fast paced and like very, very like rhythmic and I don't know, but I just, the eyes or the eye contact and the both like welcoming and confronting at the same time. Like I don't know, I appreciate that engagement in a world that sometimes when you look at people in the eye, you don't always get that understanding. So I don't know, I appreciated being able to make actual eye contact with y'all and being seen as an audience member. That was taking us into the piece though. We are actively dancing, maybe not with our bodies, but we are interacting metaphysically with each other, so.
Thank you, that's beautiful, yeah. We are at the end of our time, so I want to thank Spirit. Spirit, we will see you very soon. Thank you for the gorgeous work and for being here today. Alo, we are holding space for you inside the choreography as we are dancing. I want to thank the remarkable artists and Jesse and Alexi and all of you who have given us so much to take away with us. If you will join us one last time in our pranam with which we finish all of our work.
Connecting to the earth, our hearts, holding up this land. Mini Shota Makoche. Zagi, Zagi, Zagi. Zagi Dwin. Mitakuye Owasin. Thank you too. Thank you.
Dhei, dhei, ta, dhagin, ta, thariki, ta, jam. Dhei, dhei, ta, dhagin, ta, thariki, ta, jam. Dhan, dhan, ta, dhan, dhan, ta, tum, ta, tin, ta, te, tum, ta, tin, ta, te, ta, ta. Re, re, pa, jinam, ta, tak, jinam, ta, te. Dhagite te ta kita drimta tari jamta. Dhagite te ta kita drimta tari jamta. Rekke ta janamta takka janamta te. Dhagite te ta kita drimta tari jamta. Kartkadhei.